Welcome back to Witness Richness. It's your man, JCP, and as always, I am super excited to be back in front of the camera. This week I want to talk to you about the art of structuring the deal. Okay, keep in mind, so far I've closed on about 9 real estate transactions over the last 3 years. And that's just buying, never mind what I sold, okay? Every single transaction that I've closed on, I've gotten a check. I left the table with a closing check ranging from $3,000 to about $15,000, all right? And there's an art behind structuring the deal. Now I have a proven strategy, a couple different strategies that I've used, again, in my experience, to structure the deal and leave the table with a check in my pocket. Let me take you out to the intro, see you at the whiteboard. So I'm back at the whiteboard and better than ever. Let's get right into it. Now, first and foremost, before we go too far into this, let me tell you that when you're buying an FHA property and maybe a rehab loan property from a bank, there may be some little more restrictions on getting some of this money towards the back of that closing. But when it comes to commercial property, okay, the floodgates open up. Now, these are 2 proven strategies that I've used over the last 3 years, okay, to walk away from every closing that I've had with a check in my pocket. My first one was $5,000, from $3,000 to $8,000. My max payback closing check was $15,000. Now, the formula is very simple, okay, and I say it in my other videos, but you know what? Let me break it down right now. There's the art behind structuring the deal, okay, the art of the deal. Now, first and foremost, one of the things I tell everybody, okay, is hire a professional home inspector to inspect that property. Now, that is going to be a fee. I usually pay about $700 to have my homes inspected for the multifamilies because they charge like $100 per unit or $200 per unit, whatever it may be. In your locality, you find out what that price is. But I'm telling you right now, hiring a professional home inspector is a major plus to acquiring assets. Reason being, for one, if you're going to buy an asset, you're going to sign your name online for a 30-year loan, then you should have a professional go through that and check the foundation, go check the roof with the drone, check the vinyl siding, check the windows, check the guts of the property, meaning the electrical and the plumbing and the waste lines and whatnot. So it's a major insight for you and a major benefit for you to hire a home inspector. But if you hire the right home inspector, okay, my home inspector that I hired from all my homes gave me literally a 30-page report, pictures of every unit, pictures of the roof, pictures of the plumbing, pictures of everything. And they will literally have this like 150-point checklist checking every little item of that property. And my property inspector, and you will as well, if you're hiring a professional, will actually give you a grade on some of the items, give you an idea that this may need to be replaced soon. This may need to be replaced 5 years from now. Everything is good standard. There'll be a thorough home report. Now, as an investor, okay, you go through that home inspection with a lice comb, okay? Now, here's the art behind structuring the deal. On my first property, that I purchased, which I have in my video, I talked about how I found $7,500 worth of damages. We're talking just items all over the property that need to be replaced. Little small items that clearly the previous landlord or the previous owner of that property wasn't addressing, but things were still okay. At the end of the day, these are things that eventually you'd want to be replaced. But is the property still functioning just fine? Yes, it is. Is the property still collecting rent? Yes, it is. But bringing these items to that seller's attention, especially an investor's attention, here's the mindset, okay? If I'm going to sell an investment property, if I'm selling one of my properties, chances are, right, as an investor, I have another deal lined up. I want to pull my equity or pull my cash out of this deal and get into something else. So a lot of times I just want to get rid of that property, dump it, get my cash and move on. Now, you're buying investment properties, that is most likely going to be the case. Now, with that being said, if I want to get rid of this property and you come to me as the buyer talking about, listen, I found $7,500 in damages in this property, but you know what? Don't worry about it. Cut me a check for $5,000 and I'll take care of it. And you show me a home inspector's report showing that it have all these things wrong with it. It's like, damn, I don't want to fix these things. I want to sell this property and move on. But clearly, if you had a home inspector come through and it showed me all these things and all these problems, and then I can total it all up, it will cost me about $5,000 plus some labor to get it done and checking up on it. I don't want to deal with it. So you approach the seller with the price of how much everything's going to cost, and maybe you buff it up by a couple thousand or whatever it may be. But in my example, right, I found $7,000 worth of damages. $7,500 worth of damages, and I told the seller, listen, cut me a check for $5,000 and I'll take care of it. That happened fast. And as a matter of fact, I use that same strategy on every single one of my properties. Hired a property manager, hired a professional property inspector to go through that unit, check everything like they're supposed to do, and then everything that needs to be damaged, everything that was damaged or needs to be repaired, I wrote it all down and tallied it all up, how much it would cost to fix. Maybe I add a little extra 10% in there. So at the end of the day, let's say again, that'd be the idea, right? You find $10,000 worth of damages, then you approach the seller, listen, there's $10,000, here's the report, here's the quote from a contractor maybe if you take that step. In my case, I did on one of them, okay? On one property, I got back a check for $15,000 worth of repairs. I found a problem with the foundation and had a contractor go in there and pretty much tell me it was gonna be this, that, and the third. Ended up being a lot less to fix that problem, and I walked away from that closing table with a $15,000 check for a repair that cost like $2,500. But again, that seller didn't care. They had a bunch of things lined up. They made their money off the property. They cash flowed it. They just didn't care. It's a different mindset as an investor. Again, this is referring to investment properties now when you're structuring these deals. When you're buying FHA properties and first-time home buyer properties, they may be a little stringent on letting you have these little negotiations and cutting checks at closing, okay? So again, hiring that professional property home inspector to go through and find everything wrong with the property, matching that up with the quote on repairs, and then undercutting it by 25%, it's almost a win-win. It's like, okay, I don't want to fix this stuff for 10 grand, but I'll gladly cut you a check for 7,500, right? So that's the first strategy. And again, it's a negotiation. It works or it doesn't work. Maybe you find $10,000 worth of repairs and that seller's only willing to give you $5,000. Well, you just got back a $5,000 check from spending $700 on a home inspection. Okay, that's the mindset. Okay. Now, the next part of the deal is know the true appraisal. What that means, okay? For some reason, every single time I go to buy a home, and whatever the asking price is, and me being the investor, I know it's a good price. That house always appraised for $1,000 more or $2,000 more than the asking price. I realized that. So when you know the true appraisal, meaning that when you total up the income and then minus the expenses, you put it in the multiplier, then you find out that that investment property is worth $300,000, but they're only selling it for $280,000. You have a $20,000 difference between what the property's selling for and what the property will appraise for. Now, as an investor, listen, you want to tap into that, right? So you may approach the seller saying, hey, listen, I'll buy this home for $290,000, okay? But you give me a check for $10,000 at closing. Now listen, you have the house listed for $280,000. I'm gonna pay you $290,000. You cut me a check at the end for $10,000 for repairs, okay? Now that's a win-win because if you're the seller and you're selling that property for $280,000 and I'm giving you $280,000, at the end of the day, we all wipe out. Now you may be saying to yourself, but JCP, that means you're paying $10,000 more in that mortgage. Let me say this right now, okay? If you have an investment property where the tenants are paying that mortgage, okay? $10,000 on a mortgage for 15, 20, 25 years is gonna be like 30, 40, 50 bucks a month. And the idea is, again, when you buy that property and if you're gonna if you're gonna add another $10,000 to that mortgage, you can go in day one and raise the rents or go into the basement and put in coin ops. You can find a way to make that difference up very easily once you own the property. And then in most properties over time, the rents go up and the properties appreciate in value anyway. So again, having that $10,000 in your pocket on that mortgage would only charge you about $30, $40 a month. you'll get it from the rents. So basically, again, if you know the True Appraisal, you can create a win-win opportunity by telling the seller, listen, you're selling the property for 280, the banks will appraise it at 290, I'll give you 290, you give me a check at 10,000 for repairs. Okay? And that's another way to structure the deal to make sure when you leave that table, you have some money in your pocket. Because listen, you're going to buy an investment property, you're putting down 20%, or you're buying a house, you're putting down thousands of dollars. It's nice to walk away from that table with a couple thousand in your pocket. Okay? Now, again, those are two proven strategies that I've used to create win-win opportunities and to structure my deal. Again, 3 years running, 9 closings, every single deal I walk away with a check. This is information that came from my experience. I hope you take it and put it into your deals. As always, my brother, as always, my sister, this is a wide open invitation. Let's grow together. Subscribe to the channel. I have more content coming for you every single week.